What's up, Cigar Club family? Welcome back to another episode of the Cigar Club podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in and leaving your thoughts and feedback on each episode. If this is your first time joining us, the Cigar Club podcast is where we talk about all things cigars with you, the Cigar Club family. On today's episode, I'm going to reveal my top 5 favorite Habano cigars that I believe everyone should be smoking. Right now, I'm smoking, this isn't going to be on the list, but this is an honorable mention. I'm smoking the original Alec and Bradley Cigar Club collaboration, Pinkies Out. This was the very first one that we did with Alec and Bradley. I'll get more into this cigar, but I pulled this out of the humidor just for this episode. This has been aging now for 3 or 4 years, I think, off the top of my head. And I think I only have maybe one more after this. So this is a very special episode for me because I've been dying to re-smoke this cigar, as it's been a very long time since I've smoked the original. But before we jump into today's episode, I want to let everyone know that the Cigar Club Beginner Box is back. It is here. We have gone through and curated what we believe to be one of the best beginner boxes for those new cigar smokers. So if this is your time that you've ever thought about getting into cigars, or if there's someone in your life that has been interested in getting cigars, we are on our website. We've got our Cigar Club beginner boxes. And what we did with this, the approach that we had was we wanted to offer a variety of sizes, countries of origins, and strengths all in one box. So you're going to see cigars from Honduras, Nicaragua, and Dominican Republic, maybe even Costa Rica. The cigars are going to change from time to time. We're going to rotate, so it keeps it fresh, so to speak. But you're going to have mild, medium, full-bodied cigars in every box, variety of wrappers, Connecticut wrappers, Habano wrappers, which we're going to talk about today, Maduro wrappers, and some, random one-offs in there that kind of don't fall into that category. But head on over to our website, CigarClub.com, and search for the beginner box and pick it up for yourself if you're a new cigar smoker. Obviously, if you're a seasoned cigar smoker, you could certainly pick it up as well. But this is really tailored to those new cigar smokers, whether it be yourself or someone in your life. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. We had my top 5 favorite Connecticut podcast just a bit ago. If you haven't listened to that one, be sure to go back after this one and listen to that one. We had some amazing feedback on that episode, so we were like, all right, let's make this a series. So we're going to do my top 5 Habanos today that I think everyone should be smoking. I did go ahead and put these in order, so I do have an order. I'm going to start with my number 5 favorite Habano. Now, for a lot of these, the Vitola isn't necessarily going to matter. For the most part, all of the Vitolas are wonderful and, my favorites, so to speak. But for this particular cigar, this Vitola blew me away. Absolutely one of my favorites. And that's going to be the Casa Cuevas Habano Flaco. It's a 7x43 Flaco. Call it a Lancero, but their official name for the Vitola is Flaco. It's made in the Dominican Republic. It features an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and then tons of filler. We've got Colombia, we've got Dominican, we've got Nicaraguan, and we've got USA, Pennsylvania in it. And there's something about this size. I've smoked the other size of the Casa Cuevas Habano. All are absolutely amazing, but this Flaco size just really speaks to me. And I think it's probably because it's similar to a Lancero format. But you get this wonderful cedary, Spanish cedar, nuts, almonds, cashews, earth, and then a bit of spice, which I assume comes from that USA, Pennsylvania filler in it. But this unique size was re-released in 2022. What Flaco means is skinny in Spanish, and it is named after their Luis's senior son, Alec Cuevas, which many of you are familiar with. He had the Sangre Nueva cigar that came out in 2022, which we were able to release here. He was also on the podcast with us back in 2022 when we did our custom cigar with Casa Cuevas. But yeah, that cigar, that size is absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, I think that spice that I get from it on the retro hail specifically is coming from that USA, Pennsylvania broadleaf in the filler. But once again, I'm smoking the original Alec and Bradley. I'm going to pinkies out on that one. Pinkies out. This is a collaboration, and I'm going to jumping ahead a little here, but this is a collaboration that we did with Alec and Bradley. And just this cigar has aged wonderfully. It's certainly mellowed and kind of tamed out. That kind of cedary, leathery profile has ramped up. The creaminess that was originally in the blend is certainly still there, but it kind of's taken a back foot to the leather and cedar, Spanish cedar that is in this blend or comes from this blend. And I think that's just due to the age. I think those kind of more softer notes when you age a cigar tend to get overshadowed by some of those more prominent notes that still have a little bit of that pizzazz after aging it for 3 or 4 years. But let's jump into my number 4 favorite Habano, and that's going to be the Matilde Quadrata Robusto. Once again, the size isn't necessarily important. I just have the Robusto that, kind of top of my head. I remember smoking this cigar with Enrique over from Matilde at PCA 2022. No, 2020. Yeah, 2022. And was absolutely blown away by how good this cigar is. Made in the Dominican Republic. This also features an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. Features Dominican binder, Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. And it is made at Tabacalera La Matilde in the Dominican Republic. You're going to find notes of toast, like toasted sourdough bread, earth, and then a wonderful citrus that adds almost a little bit of spice without it being black pepper, white pepper, or, any type of like hot spice, so to speak. It's more of like a citrus zest sort of spice. And I remember smoking this cigar as we were just hanging out talking. First time I was able to meet Enrique in person. And we were just talking, hanging out, really not even talking anything cigars, but I had asked for something that I hadn't had before, and I was kind of looking through his boxes that he had on display, and I was like, I've never had the Quadrata, handed it to me, and that was one of my absolute favorite cigars of the show that wasn't necessarily a new release. Obviously, most things at PCA, people are going to highlight their new releases that are coming up that they're, offering for that year, but this was just a staple cigar that I just hadn't had the opportunity to smoke with and was floored by how good it is. And probably outside of his Connecticut is probably my second favorite. That and the Connecticut go back and forth to me as far as what my favorite Matilde cigars. But Enrique does a wonderful job. He is really, really smart in the way that he blends. Does a phenomenal job of being thoughtful as he works with the tobacco and really has a great vision for what that product's going to be. Very meticulous in what he releases, so he doesn't have this huge, 1,000 cigar catalog. He's got it's probably 7 to 10 core lines that he has, and then he'll do limited releases here. And I kind of include those because he sort of does like series with his limited exposures. One that I think of, he's done limited exposure 1, limited exposure 2, and then I believe he's working on limited exposure 3. So if you haven't tried Matilde cigars, go out there, find them. Heck, shoot us an email. Shoot me an email, Pugh at CigarClub.com. And if you're looking to maybe purchase a 5-pack of one or something like that, I can see if we've got any in the warehouse that I can put together for you. But definitely do not sleep on Matildes. Like I said, one of my favorite brands and top 4 Habano. And I am sipping on a little Slingshot Coffee Company. This is their canned espresso. I drank this before. I think I drank the regular one the first time I had this on a previous episode, but I'm drinking their Vanilla Blossom. So it's got a touch of natural vanilla in there. And I grabbed this as opposed to just the normal one because I thought that vanilla would go well with the creaminess that I knew I'd find in this cigar. Like I said, that creaminess is certainly mellowed out a little bit, but it's still there. It's just not as prominent or as identifiable as it originally was in the original blend. I was telling Ramsey before we started the show here, this is the first cigar that I've had in probably 2 weeks. It has been unbearably hot here in Alabama. And when I say unbearably hot, I'm talking 100 degrees with the humidity makes it feels like 110. When I wake up, it's 95, feels like 100. When I go to bed at 7, well, when I'm done for the day at like 7 or 8, it's still like 94 degrees out and humid as all get out. It has not been even remotely enjoyable. I've had to kind of come out over the past 2 weeks. I've had some cigars, I guess technically I've had cigars, but it's really like smoking a third of a blend to test it or 2/3 of a blend, like quickly being intentional with the smoke, but also kind of quickly getting through it because of how hot it is. So this is the first time that I've been able to sit down and really enjoy a cigar. It's been raining for the past 4 days, so the temperature's come down. So right now it's probably 86 degrees. Still quite hot, but not as bad as it has been. So it's been not too fun. I've been dying to smoke a cigar. Obviously, I need to smoke cigars, but there's something about when you just walk outside and you instantly start being drenched in sweat that just ruins the experience of smoking a cigar. And I don't want to smoke a blend that I'm excited about, or maybe an expensive cigar from the humidor if I'm not going to be enjoying it. So I need to know, guys, if you are in the South or a place where it's hot, let me know in the comments below. Is there a way that you can stay cool? Like, I'll bring a fan out. I'll do whatever I can to stay cool, but it doesn't beat that humidity down here. So I guess I could go to a lounge, but that doesn't always happen when I'm working from home, things like that. So let me know in the comments below, if you're in a really hot place, what do you do to beat the summer heat? Do you just tough it out and be really miserable as you smoke a cigar, or do you try to avoid smoking like I have been over the last 2 weeks? Really curious to know. I'd love for some tips, because I've been missing having a cigar. But jumping into it, number 3, this is one that I have talked about extensively, so it's no shock that it's going to be on here, and that's going to be the Crown Heads Mil Días. Some of you might be surprised that this didn't make my number 1. Honestly, 1 through 3 was really tough. These are all cigars that I've mentioned before, I've smoked before, I've talked about before, so it was really, really tough. But this cigar came out 2020, maybe 2021-ish. I forget the timeline. But when it did come out, it quickly became my absolute favorite cigar for that year. It features, country of origin is from Nicaragua, features an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and then the filler consists of Costa Rica, Peruvian, and Nicaraguan. And it's just an absolutely wonderful cigar. I remember first smoking it and just being blown away by how approachable it was, but also the complexity that the cigar had. You're going to get notes of nutmeg. You're going to get notes again of toasty sourdough. And then I get cinnamon on the retrohale, and it is just like pure cinnamon. If you've ever had issues detecting flavors when you retrohale a cigar, grab yourself the Mil Días, because when you retrohale it, there is no mistaking that what you're tasting or the sense that you're getting is cinnamon. It is very prominent. And one of the first cigars that I specifically remember having or being able to taste cinnamon. It's now something that I've done, I do really well at picking out. And I think it all goes back to the Mil Días that I smoked, and really just how prominent that cinnamon was. And I think that allows me, every time that I smoke a cigar, to easily detect cinnamon, whether it be on the retrohale or just normally through the palate. Now, over the years, John over at Crown Heads has released multiple different sizes, multiple different iterations of this cigar. You've got the Mil Días Marinitos, the Mil Días Maduro, which is phenomenal as well. I specifically like the Corona Gorda version of the Mil Días. I love a Corona Gorda size, so that kind of makes sense. But the Edmundo is really good as well. I mean, really this blend works really well in any size. Now, I don't know if he tweaks it for the Vitola. I imagine there has to be, just to make sure that there's consistency in the burn and the draw. So it may be minor, or it may be, hey, we need to, really change around the ratios of the filler to make sure that it lands on profile. But all of the Vitolas for this blend are amazing. For me, though, if I had a choice of all of them laid out in front of me, I'm going to grab that Corona Gorda. The Corona Gorda comes in, if you're wondering, at a 6x46, which anything that 5.5 to 6 by 46, 48 is just perfect for me in that Corona Gorda size. Still, after all this time, amazing burn, amazing draw. Just this blend right here really kicked off the Cigar Club exclusive blends. By far and none our most popular blend. And, we are taking a break from it this year with the acquisition of Alec Bradley. Just as things transition, we did need to put the blend on a hold for this year. I hate to break that bad news, but I figured I'd let everyone know so that way, no one's wondering what's going on. However, now that things are getting settled in, I'm going to reach back out to those guys and see about the possibility of doing Pickies Out for 2025 here. So stay tuned on that. No promises, but we're going to work with those guys, Alec, as well as Bradley Rubin. and see if we've got, the comfortability now that they've settled into their new roles after the acquisition, and see if we can spark back up the Pinkies Out, because I know how much I love it, but more importantly, I know how much you guys love it. All of you that have been with us for a while have probably smoked all the different iterations that we've had over the years. We know how much you enjoy it, so we're going to get back on that and hopefully be able to bring out a new Pinkies Out for 2025. Fingers crossed on that one. But speaking of those guys, Alec and Bradley, I'm coming in at number 2 with the Alec and Bradley Kintsugi. This was a cigar that I have talked about endlessly, so I'm sure some of you are rolling your eyes right now as I bring this up again. But this was my absolute favorite cigar of the year when they released this. This is made in Honduras. It features a Habano wrapper, a Honduran and Nicaraguan binder, and Honduran and Nicaraguan filler. This was the number 25 cigar of Cigar Aficionado in 2021. For me, it was the number 1 cigar. Without a doubt, I've smoked. This cigar probably is up there in my most smoked cigar. Obviously, I don't have statistics of that. That would be really cool if you could get like a list of how many cigars that you've smoked and how many of each cigar that you've smoked, sort of like a video game. But I absolutely love this cigar. I remember talking with those guys when they were coming up with this blend, and shortly after it, we've done a podcast about it. But Kintsugi is the centuries-old Japanese art form of repairing broken pottery using gold lacquer as a bonding agent. So essentially, if they had let's say a white pot, because I think it stands out, it kind of matches the box theme here, but if it shattered, they would repair that by using gold lacquer to reform it, essentially taking what's broken and making it new and different again. And so this inspired Brad to come up with Kintsugi, come up with the artwork. I mean, everything about this cigar, from the box to the band, is elegant, and it fits perfectly with the name Kintsugi. The band kind of interlinks together, symbolizing the reforming of the pottery. But this is made down in the Raíces Cubanas factory in Honduras. Tasting notes on this one are dried fruit, cinnamon again, and the one that really stuck out to me and kind of made this cigar for me was Hungarian paprika. I was smoking it with my wife, Bailey, and I was picking up something on it, handed it to her, and I was like, I can't quite picture this, and she goes, Hungarian paprika, and it was immediately correct. So as much as I like to take credit for it, she was the one that really nailed it on the head with what I was trying to think of and taste through, and she was able to give me that tasting note that I was thinking of. So shout out to Bailey for that. And that cigar, I remember having it. I remember to this day, the first time that I smoked it, I made a bowl of RDA. We were sitting outside. Must have been it was during COVID. So we were outside probably mid-afternoon on like a Wednesday, when no one was really working and weird times. But I was outside having a bowl of RDA. I remember taking the photo. I put the glass on the ground. I put the cigar on top of it. And just a beautiful photo, and just something about that. It's weird how cigars can invoke memories like that, and it's such a clear picture to me of that day and that time. I can instantly take myself back to that moment in time, and it's just really cool. And I think that adds a lot to why that cigar is so special to me. Certainly why it's in my top 5 here of Habanos, but really I would say it's in my top 10, top 25 overall all-time favorite cigars as well. And I think a lot of it has to do just what that memory invokes and how vivid and strong that memory is. So before I jump into my last one here, I want to give some honorable mentions. Now, obviously, I've talked about the cigar that I'm smoking here, but an honorable mention is the Alec and Bradley Pinkies Out. Now, the reason this one didn't make my top 5 is solely just for the fact that this isn't like a national release. It is a limited exclusive release for us here at Cigar Club. So that was kind of my thinking. I wanted this to be something that you could go out and find at a lot of brick and mortars or a lot of online retailers. And so it just didn't feel right to include a cigar that was made just for us at Cigar Club in this top 5. But this is, like I said, was made in Honduras. Nicaraguan Habano Colorado wrapper, Nicaraguan Habano binder, and Nicaraguan filler. You're going to get bread, you're going to get pepper, you're going to get baking spices. I mean, it's just a completely approachable cigar for, maybe you just like mild cigars. You're going to be able to pick this up and thoroughly enjoy it. Or maybe if you're someone who really only enjoys more full-bodied cigars, I think this cigar brings enough to the table that if you're only smoking, the darkest Mexican San Andreas wrappers or the thickest Pennsylvania broadleaf cigars, I think there's still enough in this Pinkies Out blend, whether any of the Vitolas that we've had. I still think there's enough that you could pick up this cigar and thoroughly enjoy it. And that was kind of the approach that we wanted to have is we wanted something that everyone would be able to enjoy. And it's also like an everyday kind of smoke. Or any time of the day smoke. I'm smoking this in the morning, but I've smoked this in the afternoon. I've smoked this in the evening with wine or a cocktail post or pre-dinner. It really fits in any time of the day, which is something that, like I said, is really important when you're having a blend that you want to approach. I want to have something that I can pick up and smoke any time of the day. I do think there are certain times where I particularly gravitate towards certain cigars. If I'm smoking something really full-bodied, I tend to not want it in the morning just because it can either overshadow my palate all day long, or if I haven't eaten, or, I don't necessarily want it to potentially mess with my stomach. And so not everyone does, but I tend to like grab those in the afternoon or maybe after I've had my first cigar. And so this one here, we wanted something that you can really just pick up and go at any time of the day. And they definitely hit the nail on the head with this blend. But if you haven't had the Pinkies Out, shameless plug, we do have some on our website. We've got the Lancero still, and I believe, and we have the Chunk, but I know we do have some of our blends of the Pinkies Out. We don't have any more of the original, so unfortunately we won't be able to have that one, but go to our website into our exclusive cigar section and grab yourself some Pinkies Out if you haven't had the wonderful experience to smoke this cigar. And then I've got one more honorable mention before we jump into my absolute all-time favorite, and that's going to be the Villiger Sandoro Colorado Toro. And the reason this cigar is, I'm adding it to my mention, it's not one that I particularly talk about too often, but it's a cigar that really inspired me when we worked with Villiger to do our customs release last year for 2023. When I approached those guys over at Villiger, this was really the starting block that I had in mind for how I wanted to blend that particular cigar. So, I used this cigar as a basis for where I wanted to take the blend, so, hey guys, I really love this cigar. I want to do this, this, and that to it. And that was really fun to bring something to them that they were very familiar with and then modify it to, tweak it a bit to where I wanted to take it for that particular custom. So this blend is an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper and then Nicaraguan binder and filler. And you're going to get tasting notes of almonds, cocoa, cedar. And if you're probably wondering, or paying attention, cedar is very prominent in a lot of these blends and certainly has to do with that Habano wrapper. And then for this blend in 2016 and 2018, this cigar made the Cigar Aficionado Top 25. So it's certainly a very popular cigar, but just not one that I talk about too often. I love the Villiger portfolio. And so, it kind of gets overshadowed by some of their newer releases. I'm looking at you, Villiger Miami. But do not sleep on the Sandoro Colorado. Absolutely wonderful. I find this cigar goes beautifully with a wheated bourbon. So if you are a wheated bourbon fan, grab this cigar, smoke it at the same time. Let me know what you think. And coming in at my all-time favorite Habano is going to be the Sereno Tyo. This is the Taino that's the white band. They have the Heritage, which is the blue band, but this particularly is the white band Taino. This cigar pays homage to the indigenous people of the Caribbean, which they go on to say is the birthplace of the modern cigar. Now, comes in 3 different sizes. They have a Robusto, Corona Gorda, Toro. The Corona Gorda is probably my favorite that is readily available. Now, we did work with Carson and come out with an exclusive size for this 2 or 3 years ago, which is the 44, which was a 44 ring gauge. So that one is my Desert Island cigar. I said it on a podcast long time ago, but that cigar is just perfect. It's a 5.5 by 44. It's just, I have a few of them left. It's just, there's everything about that cigar fit me, who I am as a cigar smoker. And so if you're not familiar with the Desert Island kind of term, and what I mean by that is, if I was stuck on a desert island and I could only smoke one cigar for the rest of my life, it would be this cigar. I would smoke this over Davidoff, Padron, Fuente, any other cigar in the world, Atabey, Cubans, doesn't matter. It would be this cigar. This cigar features an Ecuadorian Habano Medio wrapper, Nicaraguan Esteli Corojo 99 binder, and then filler, we've got Nicaraguan Ometepe Criollo 98, Nicaraguan Esteli Corojo 99, and Criollo 98, and then Nicaraguan Jalapa Corojo 99. I mean, this cigar is jam-packed with Nicaraguan binder and filler. It was rated by Cigar Aficionado and got a 91 on it. You're going to get notes of cedar, marzipan, white chocolate, orange. It absolutely is the best cigar that I think I've ever smoked. Certainly my absolute favorite Habano. The Corona Gorda would be, like I said, my second favorite size outside of the exclusive size that we did. It hits all the right notes. It's approachable. It's packed full of complexity and flavor, which I think is why it just gravitates me so well and why I'd be okay with it being my Desert Island cigar, because every time you smoke it, something else stands out. It's not one of these cigars, and there's nothing wrong with these types of cigars, but it's not one of those cigars that's just one note consistently throughout with maybe, peaks here of something else, but a predominant note throughout. There are multiple different flavors that are going to shine at different points during this blend or during this cigar. But also, every time you come back and smoke it, it's going to be different. You're going to get different notes in it that you may have not got the last time you smoked. Obviously some of that could be the experiences that you've had that day with what you've ate, where you're at. But I think a lot of it chalks up to do with how much different Nicaraguan filler is in the cigar. So it kind of peaks at different times and combines in different ways to allude to different flavors and sensations. And it's just absolutely wonderful. It's not a cigar that's going to break the bank. And for the most part, you can find this at any retailer that carries Sereno cigars. It's not one that you need to go hunting for, or a limited release, or one that, maybe comes out once a year. It's a regular staple. So if you've got a brick and mortar or an online retailer that carries Sereno cigars, chances are they'll have the Sereno Taino. And if they don't, tell them to bring it in, because you need to smoke it today. As far as the 44 is, I need to reach out to Carson over at Sereno Cigars and see if we can do a rerun of the Taino in that exclusive 44 size, because I need to have more of it. I need to have multiple bundles of it in case I ever do get stuck on a desert island. That way I have them, because I think I was going through my humidor the other day, rotating cigars, and I think I saw maybe 2 or 3 in there. So maybe I'll pull it out for a future podcast and smoke it, alongside of whatever I'm talking about that day. But it's been a while since I've had that 44 blend or Vitola. I've certainly smoked a lot of the other Vitolas over the past few years, but that is my number one favorite Habano. Honestly, also my number one favorite cigar probably as well. The Sereno Taino. Like I said, it's the white band one, not the blue band one. The blue band is called the Sereno Heritage or Taino Heritage. So don't get the two confused, but both are wonderful blends. But the one that I'm particularly talking about here is the white banded one. But we're going to do another giveaway for this episode. This is going to be another Discord giveaway. We'll have the link to join our Discord in the comments below, the description below, rather, for this video. So once you join, click on the podcast tab in the Discord and comment with your personal favorite Habano cigar. And then the following week after this episode comes out, we'll randomize all of those who have entered and we'll select a winner. And the winner is going to receive our June Customs Fortis. So once again, click on the link below in the description to join our Discord if you're not a part of the Discord. And then in the podcast little chat in Discord, let us know your favorite Habano cigar, and we'll randomize the winner and send out a latest or a 5-pack of our June Customs Fortis. But once again, everyone, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Cigar Club podcast, where I talked about my top 5 favorite Habano cigars. We're certainly going to do this for a Maduro top 5 as well. But if there's any other type of like wrappers or anything like that outside of Connecticut, Habano, and Maduro, let us know in the comments below, and maybe we'll do an episode on that one, or maybe do a wrapper episode that kind of doesn't fit into these 3 categories neatly. I think that could be really cool, kind of like a wild card top 5 episode. But let us know in the comments below. Until next time, everyone, happy smoking.